Yes, they can hear you, and she is here. She's been away for a while, but she's here. I'll let her ask you guess who's coming to lunch or dinner.
Well,
there she is.
Janet Adetu, etiquette coach. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
We missed you, Janet.
I know I missed you too, but I was watching you guys. I love the way you look. I really love your new look. Yes, new image. Cute. Really good. Well done.
No comment. Comment your result. So, Janet, well, before you came in, we were talking to the Chief Medical Director of Lagos University Teaching Hospital, and he said something. He said, they are our children. I asked a question, or we asked a question, is there a better way? I started by asking, in terms of that, how much of dialogue have you had with them? And then I asked him, is there a better way you would have handled it? But at the end of it, he said,
they are about 3 times.
Yes. He said, they are our children and we're waiting for them. And whatever they say they want, as their fathers, we will do it for them. So, you're going to talk to us about parenting.
Parenting, yes. You know, I have 11 etiquette tips on parenting. But before I go into them, the real question is, what's your role as a parent? Because sometimes you go into it by accident, sometimes you go into it because you actually planned it. But most times, to be honest with you, everybody's experience as a parent is very different. But we tap into what we see around us, we tap into our grandmothers, our mothers, and all of that. But really, your own true experience is going to be different. So really, what's your role as a parent? And I'd say, first of all, the truth is, number one is to really impact good values. So what are your values? Is it about having a good family, having a good career? Is it about money? You as a parent, you do need to have values first.
You know, when we were opening the program, I said to Nyota, oh, she's talking about parenting. Okay, maybe she'll finally bring us a handbook. There is no handbook. You just play it along as you find it.
But you need to have some guidelines. So good values, very important. You know. Yeah, and then you've got to be able to inculcate and leave a good legacy. So as you're living as a parent, what are you really leaving behind for your kids? What are they seeing that you're doing now that actually is impacting their lives that they will remember forever?
Yes.
So a good legacy is very, very important as a parent. Then you've got to teach them also life expectancies. Life isn't easy. So you got to tell them that some days will be sunshine, some days will be rain, and some days will be storm.
Heavy rain.
Yeah, storm actually, you know, and hailstones. So you got to tell them that, look, you know, when they go through life, they're going to have, you know, some days where they will really have it fun and like it, and there are going to be days where they'll be sad. So life expectancies is like, life is not a bed of roses. No. You know, you've also got to tell your kids that that life is full of challenges. Everything, when you see wealth around us, hello, I didn't get here on a platter of gold. I really worked to get here, and it was full of challenges. Now you're enjoying it, but this is my story. You know, you've also got to teach your children again, you know, the ability to be responsible and have good judgment. Now, with what's going on around us, a lot of our kids are influenced by peer pressure. But I guess it's always good to have some, you know, they say charity begins at home, right? So leave them with some good judgmental skills. That if you see this, do this. If you see this, don't do this. You know, so that at least they have some basis. It's also very important, I would say, that your children must be able to show love and respect. Now, I'm not a psychologist, but I have to say the truth is, if two people are bringing up a child together as parents, if they see love and respect among the parents, it's going to rub off on the children. You know, let's truth be told. But if they see fighting and squabbling every day, it's truly going to rub off on the kids. So you then find your child being a bit aggressive. I know a lady once told me that the school called her because her 4-year-old child was very, very aggressive in the school. And she asked her, do you and your husband fight all the time in front of your child? And that's when it came, the epiphany was like, oh gosh, yes we do. You know, and then the boy bloods out all around the school. My mommy and daddy are always fighting. My mommy and daddy are always fighting. She was so embarrassed. You know, so the truth is sometimes if you really want to squabble, and the kids are learning so much faster and so much at a younger age, and they pick up very quickly. So you have to be mindful. And if you're not showing love and respect, it's going to be very difficult for a child. And if they don't show it at age 6, trust me, as a teenager, it's going to be very difficult. Yeah.
To corroborate what you just said, when we talked about those students who were trying to rape, or
Yeah.
And we were told by the psychologist who was here that most of them come from homes where all they know is violence.
Yes, unfortunately. And then you've also got to be able to teach your children leadership and confidence. Now, it's not easy to be a leader, we all know that. But, if you're making certain decisions in your family, that's a sign of leadership. If you're making certain decisions that they look hard, but you show a bit of confidence, then they'll pick up on that. So leadership traits and confidence is very important for you to show your child. You've also got to be able to show your child that in life you are also aspiring for greatness and success. So you're going to tell them, do you know what, next year I'm hoping to do this, or by next year hopefully we'll buy a bigger car, but this is what I can afford now. You've got to show them aspirations and success, great success and aspirations. Of course, you've got to be able to show them that you're a great role model. Now that's tough, but what are you doing to show them that indeed my dad does this, my mom does this, and even if you're...
I heard the story of a little girl who was asked in school, what do grown-ups do? And she said they watch television. Because every time her dad comes back from work, they just sit down in front of a TV screen watching. This is my dad watches television.
And of course, I cannot but say that you definitely have to teach your children good behavior and impeccable manners. Now, it does start from you, and the truth be told, it's very difficult. We're seeing bad manners around us all the time, but you've got to tell your children, why are you picking your nose? You don't do that in public. Or why are you chewing with all your mouth full? Don't talk with food in your mouth. Say it immediately as you see it. Don't wait to tell them later. And immediately, that's a behavior that you're changing. And at the same time, you're inculcating manners, So if I have to quickly go to my 11 parenting etiquette tips, very, very, very important. The first one, without a doubt, is to lead by example. Remember, your children are watching you and they're mirroring you all the time. Yep. The good, the bad, the ugly. I remember once before, I keep saying this a lot, my husband and I were talking in the bedroom and my daughter was in the room. We didn't even notice her because we're so engaged in our discussion. And we didn't notice her, and we're like, you should, we're just talking, and suddenly my daughter at the time, maybe she was about 10, and she says, Mommy, Daddy, would have, could have, should have, but didn't. And we looked at each other and said, whoa. She was looking at us, and we're like, what did we just would have, could have, should have, but you didn't. And that was like an eye-opener. It's like, oh my gosh, she was listening and she was understanding, And so you really have to you lead by example, because your kids are really mirroring you. Now, even when we say that, most times we preach certain things. Our children are going to do what we do and not what we preach.
Yeah.
So we need to remember that, and that's very, very, very important. You have to be a positive chip off the old block. You want your kids to be a positive chip off the old block, so to say. And tip number 2 is really, you've got to teach your child life skills. What do I really mean by life skills? I mean, yes, I mentioned good manners, but you also got to teach your children cleanliness. All right? You've got to teach your children the best behavior. Even simple things like meeting and greeting. That's a basic thing, but kids just don't know how to do it. It's not even as much as hi-bye anymore. Yeah, anymore is the word. So life skills are very, very important. And that's why, in my organization, we really do emphasize on etiquette boot camps, during the holidays, because we think you've got to catch them while they're young. So the emphasis of etiquette and protocol with a child at a young age is very important. Number 3 really is to encourage your children about the importance of education. Now, from where we come from in this environment, we've always emphasized, I think when we were growing up, that education was very important. It's one of the best legacies you can leave for your child. But you've got to tell your children that education is first. However, I must emphasize, do not ignore your child's gift. If your child has a gift, if your child has some kind of attribute, don't acknowledge it. Always encourage it at the same time. So are we together there?
We're together.
Your child will always have a gift. If you notice it, and football, singing, whatever it is, always encourage it as much as the education that comes behind it. Tip number 4 really is money power. And this is about telling them the value of money and